Hi, everyone. Thank you for being here. I'm Liz Hilliard. I use they, them pronouns, and I am scared. Predictably so. So I thought it would be nice to start us off with a little treat for our nervous system. So if you feel comfortable, stand up. You can also do this sitting down. And we're going to start with like 30-ish seconds of just shaking it out. Shake it, shake it. You can find any movement that feels good. Maybe you want to let out a little quiet primal scream. And then as you're ready, go ahead and sit back down, and I will lead you through a quick body scan and room scan, and then I'll get started. Okay, so once again, find any movement during this body scan that feels good to you. And if you're comfortable, go ahead and close your eyes. Bring our attention all the way down to the tips of our toes and start moving it up through your foot into your ankle, shin and calf, knee, thighs, hips, seat bones, up through your core, back. Notice your chest expand as it brings in air and contract. It pushes it back out. And up to your shoulders and down your arms all the way to your fingertips. And back up. Shoulders to your neck and your head. Place your jaw if you're holding any tension there. Inhale. As you exhale, root gently through your feet, your seat. Inhale again. And exhale. As you exhale, follow your breath out to the very edges of the room. Notice any smells or sounds. Notice the temperature. Try to imagine where you are in this room. Take one last inhale together. And you'll pause at the top, and as you blink your eyes open, exhale. Okay, now Ziba is going to help me navigate my slides while I fade back into the folds, I think. Okay. So bear with me as I move for a moment as I relocate. Okay. So to quickly position myself, I am white, queer, non-binary, and broke. In undergrad, I focused on painting and drawing. This practice was becoming increasingly political as I investigated ideologies to build toward collective health through education and art. Then in 2020, I became disabled. This necessitated that my practice become interdisciplinary so that I could pivot when I needed. When I'm unwell, my studio practice exists mainly as a dream space where I'm reflecting, processing, and ideating. And by feeling unwell, what I really mean is that like I'm stuck in a dark room under a blanket with my Tiger Balm, and all I can really do is think. Next slide, please. The term dream space is a reference to Tricia Hersey and the Nap Ministry. I'm currently reading this book, Rest is Resistance, and y'all, it's awesome. Do recommend. The Nap Ministry is a meditation on naps as resistance, an artistic and spiritual examination on the liberating power of naps. It reimagines why rest is a form of resistance and shines a light on the issues of sleep deprivation as a justice issue. It is a counter-narrative to the belief that we are all not doing enough and should be doing more. We are community-centered. We are focused on radical self-care. So referencing this manifesto is highly validating to my own way of making and being within a highly productive academic institution. My first question in the program to myself was, how am I going to balance a grad program, dynamic life, and disability? I thought I could do this by centering my practice and care. I started documenting processes and performances as care rituals. This image is a digital collage self-portrait taken in my apartment with a DSLR and a tripod. It shows cupping marks, and the hands are references to positions my hands take when applying pressure to acupuncture points. Here's context words for my practice that I will read to you now. Land and body, mutual aid, disability, collective health, animacy, ritual, embodiment, multisensory, rest, help, ecology, self-care, and pain. I also wondered how this could be a route to self-discovery. I think all of us are always engaged in this process of self-discovery. However, when you become disabled, it is truly disorienting and you lose a sense of self-mastery. So drawing on my inspirations from science, largely ecology, political activists, and Buddhist texts about mindfulness and meditation, I reflect upon the body as an archive. Here I'm documenting a walking meditation and material exploration as a care ritual. This collage is a fall hike reflection, and it loosely centers around the science of exposure to negative ions. So, piece of moving water can produce something called the Leonard effect, which is like the stirring power of water, think waterfalls, and that emits negative air ions. These superoxide ions, when paired with other oxygen, can increase our reception. So think a lot about grounding. Grounding is when our bodies come into contact with a conductive surface of Earth. This enables free electrons to travel into our body, helping to regulate inflammation, providing antioxidant effects. So this can help with things like wound healing and chronic pain. I feel a sort of tender urgency as I watch the planet and all Earthlings fight to live while facing a climate crisis and a mass disabling event, aka COVID. I wanted to share my knowledge of land and body relationship through meditation, storytelling, and material exploration through a place-based embodied ritual, which is pictured here. I hope that that would encourage ecological empathy and awareness of animacy. So the clippings in the center are all gathered from the block that the MFA building sits on. And the meditation that I shared with the class was all given cues relating to the block that the building sits on. Think a lot about the history of self-care, which is both medicinal and political. It was first termed by medical professionals to mitigate the trauma and stress from their job. Then later it was adopted by women's rights and civil rights activists as a form of autonomy from white patriarchy. Pictured here is my mid-program review. That's something that we all go through after our first year to assess what it is we've been up to. So this is a site of and for ritual contextualizing my own self-care. It consists of image transfers pasted onto the wall, an impression of my feet facing away from the wall or towards the viewer, a sigil, which is the diameter is the height of my body, and it refers to this spell that I wrote and have been working with for some years. So I'll read that to you now. A spell to release to the earth, holding intention for collective health, imbue the ground with shared resilience and rest. a promise to risk imperfection instead of sitting in inaction. Intuitive, irresistible, emergent, liberative movement. Incantations for radical love, standing in ease with and in ourselves, wherein dignity is not confused for freedom. Recognize this time has meaning. We, co-conspirators, practice, practice, practice. This is the work on the left of Ana Mendieta, who I consider a kindred spirit. She's a Cuban-American performance artist, sculptor, painter, and video artist. She views her work as a way to deepen her relationship with the universe, ancestors, and the primordial. Then on the right there is a still from my video, Places I Wish I Could Reach on My Back, which is about communicating with the earth beyond the passivity of grounding, and something that I consider very real elemental magic. Here's another still from that video. The video was filmed with DSLR on a tripod in my partner's backyard. I wondered if there was a way to tell the earth the way my back needed to be tilled to release the tension and pain I'd been feeling. The bee pictured here was a spontaneous visitor and changed the performance entirely. I welcomed this additional intelligence, and I was very happy to care for the bee too. And here are the questions that I have for myself moving forward. How does it feel to ask for help? How does it feel to help others? How do your answers to these questions influence your feelings towards mutual aid requests? How can we talk about pain without reinforcing it? How can exploration of animacy evoke self-connection and connection via visual arts? And now I'm ready for your questions.
If you are online and you have any questions, if you want to type them into the chat, I'm monitoring that, so I'll be able to read those for all the Q&As, just so you know.
Yeah, I'm just looking at some of the questions here. These questions are wonderful. Could you share how you explored answers to some of these questions in your art making?
Yeah, well, I don't have answers to these questions. They're something that I'm thinking about for my thesis. I'm sure some part of some answer is present in the work that I've been making, but I haven't been able to tease that out yet.
One of the questions that somebody asked is, you've changed your direction of your art practice from undergraduate to graduate study. Can you just share some of your stories of that kind of journey?
Yeah, well, the kinds of paintings I were making were like fine arts objects. They required a lot of labor, and my painting style is very meticulous. So my body just like wasn't up to being able to continue that line of work. So I actually started by making collage for the first time since I was like in middle school, when I became disabled, as a way to like keep thinking about art. And the rest of it kind of just like branched off from there, and I utilized whatever materials were available to me, like my partner's parents' DSLR and Photoshop through MCAD.
I'm curious, so a lot of the work that you've showed really focuses on greenery. How do you kind of, either in the past or in the future, plan to kind of work with the environment when we're surrounded by snow and cold?
Oh, that's a good question. There is a lot of green in my imagery. I don't do as well with cold and snow, but it's worth thinking about and exploring a bit more. It's so gray here, and I tend to be attracted to that color, you know, but there is like a special character and mystery to Minnesotan winter that deserves a little more attention. We just haven't quite had it yet this year. So.
Last question here from the chat is, do you view your work as collaborative with either other people or your environment?
Yeah, inevitably so. I don't get to control all of that. And like in the video, for instance, where the bee came up, that kind of spontaneity and improvisation is like indicative of performance, and I think is present in all of the work that I've been making here. That answer the question?
So, yeah.
Okay.
All right, I think we need to move on. Thanks so much.